This is episode 3 of the Rough and Tumble podcast. If you enjoy our content, please consider supporting us on Patreon. You can also follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and Spotify. This episode, we actually have a topic to discuss. We're going to be talking about rough and tumble fighting or gouging, the history and some of the things that went on with that style of fighting. We're also going to be doing an album review later in the episode, as well as our typical bullshit. So let's go ahead and get into the episode.
To the Rough and Tumble podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, here we go again with Mitch's phone.
You're the one that got the phone call at 10 o'clock in the morning on the first episode.
Yeah, that's true.
On your iPad.
That's because it was my business.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. My business phone is the same as my personal phone.
That's what I would do too.
It's horrible. It's the worst idea, dude. It's so bad.
Why would you just look like a douchebag if you're carrying around two phones?
Yeah, I would, but I feel like a douchebag whenever I can't answer everybody's phone call, like 90% of the time, honestly, because I'm either on the mats or my phone. That's when I answer the phone the most, is if I'm on the mats.
Because it gives you an excuse not to train anymore.
Yeah.
You're like, I'd love to whoop your ass up and down this mat, but I gotta answer my phone right now.
Is that my mom calling?
Just kidding, my mom's dead.
Now we're on to dead mom jokes.
My mom's still alive, and I love her very much.
Mine has been commenting on my Instagram and on my Facebook.
She's touching you
recently. I'm concerned she's about to comment on the podcast. She commented on the gym Instagram and was like telling me how much she missed me and so on and so forth. But she did it on a picture of one of my students that's about to start teaching a new class. And so I had to delete it immediately before people thought like my mom was like in
your mom's been dating this guy for a while.
Dating one of my purple belts, trying to get it on. I was like, dude, if you don't know how to use the social media platform, don't start going crazy on it and comment everywhere.
I have an aunt that would always leave really weird comments about different pictures of me. Mm-hmm. And at first I was like, oh, it's just being sweet. But then over time, it kind of got weird because I'd post like a picture of me at the lake and she'd be like with no shirt on and stuff. And she'd be like, you really should look into being a model, you know? And I'm like, oh, you're the best. Over and over again, like anytime, it was like for years, I would post random pictures like that, and she'd say, I don't know why you just don't take my advice. I mean, you've got all the right looks. And I'm just like, are you trying to fuck me?
Mitch's thirsty girl posts.
It's just my aunt.
What was it like? Be first apparel.
Be first apparel.
Oh, fuck that brand, dude. It's in every single post. Come check out. You will like my company. I think you will fit well. Ugh, fuck the Instagram spam. I get a lot of the messages from girls where like you get like a message request and then you open it up and it's like, click here to see my nudes or whatever.
Yeah, and I always click on them. And I always have to get new phones.
Sometimes it'll get me. I'm like, I wonder who this is. Oh, never mind.
I like how I just assume that like that's how life works. Like girls just go, you know what? I got these titties and somebody's got to look at them.
That's the dude. That's the dude in you.
It is.
Like I think that's all men. I think automatically assume that. It just takes discipline. I speak about like we've got some struggle that we have to conquer. Takes discipline, hard work, and dedication to overcome those urges. And
you know how hard it is not to send dick pics to people?
Just randomly. I've got them in my phone just waiting.
Here, somebody's got to see this dick.
Yeah.
I saw this pie chart. It was a pie chart. It was all blue. Mm-hmm. And then it had the legend next to it where it could tell you what the pie chart was supposed to be broken down into. And at the top in blue, it said number of dick pics, and then in red it said number of dick pics that have been requested by girls. Yeah. So the whole thing was just blue. Yeah. With guys sending out dick pics. Because whenever I was single, like I always had a couple of good shadow versions, you know, like where you like got the lighting just right and you fluffed it up and stuff, and then like I would use like I would take the arm off of one of my daughter's baby dolls and then hold it. So then it looked huge, but it was really just a baby doll arm, you know, but they never noticed. And then they were just like, "Oh my God, you have tiny hands." I was like, "No, I don't."
No, that's my dick pic.
That's my dick pic. And like it would get to the point where like you were just sending dick pics out so fast and so often because that's what you thought girls wanted. And then like every now and then, like my grandmother would be like, "Don't forget about the dinner this weekend," and I'd just send in dick pics to her. And then she just responded back with, "That's my grandbaby."
Your family's weird, dude.
Well, it's mostly because I keep sending them all them dick pics.
Your aunt says, "You should model."
You have all the right looks.
Yeah. All the right angles.
Yeah.
I had one time, back in the Sidekick days, whenever.
I never did. You talking about the chirp thingies?
Like it was like a sideways phone and then you clicked it and it flipped out.
Yeah.
I had a Sidekick LT. It was so sick, dude. I would just like flip it out and I had a full keyboard on it. So I needed to sell it and I had like a new phone or whatever and I needed to clear it off, but I didn't have a computer to clear it off with. So I go and I put it on my friend's laptop. The very first thing that popped up was my penis. I was like, "Oh God." He sees it and I'm like, "Yep, there it is." All of its glory. So I had to clear that shit out of there.
Don't
quick.
look away.
Yeah. This wasn't an accident.
It's not easy to keep it hard this long.
That's how we used to send nudes. I had to bring my phone over to his computer, plug it up, and then download it from there.
I gotta go to Rick's house and get my dick pic.
It worked like mixtapes back in the day. You pass dick pics from one another.
No, you can use it. It's okay. I don't mind.
Here's a Polaroid.
Dude, when I was in high school, I was dating this girl, and I talked her into taking some nudes with Polaroids. Mm. And my dad found one of them, and I ended up marrying her, so it's not that big a deal. We got a divorce after that, but not directly after that, but eventually. But like I had a Polaroid of her wearing like regular, and then I had like a Polaroid of her naked, and I kept it in my truck, and I forgot to take it out when I was selling my truck. And so my dad's like, he like took it to his friend, to take a look at it, and like the guy's like going through and he like flips down the sun visor and this naked picture of a 19-year-old girl pops into his lap, and he's just like, "Oh, does this come with the truck too?" I don't know if he said that, but I just assumed.
Your aunt pops in.
My aunt pops in and he's like, "I tell you what, you should put Mitch in that Polaroid." He's going straight to the top.
I've been actually looking at a lot of old pictures, like really, really old pictures on, what is that website? The Library of Congress.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been going through there and like just browsing through old ass pictures to get our episode artwork.
Yeah.
And it's been, there's a lot of really, really cool pictures.
Well, that's what, like we were talking about. A lot of people don't realize that, but if all the artwork for the episodes, those are all Arkansas
pictures.
Photographs, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's a good chance that somebody might be kin to someone in the pictures.
Yeah. That's what I'm hoping. That would be awesome.
Somebody's on Ancestry.com and they come across a picture of our podcast.
Yeah. Just us. There was the first one was like it was a part of a photograph series that was called like Disparity in the Ozarks or something like that. And then the second one I think might have been a part of the same series, but then I found some more with a rehab facility in like Mountain View or something.
Like drug rehab?
I guess so. It was from
what
like
drugs were they doing back then?
I don't know. I guess opiates.
Flannel?
Opium. Yeah, flannel. Opium, I guess, would be the drug.
Probably. Well, it's probably codeine and heroin.
Heroin, yeah.
Those were big back then.
Cocaine was around back then, wasn't it?
I think so. Which is weird.
No, that might have. I don't know. I mean, like, it was. It's a thing. I just don't know if it was here.
Supposedly, they used to put it in Coca-Cola.
Right. That was like in the 50s,
1920s.
though.
Yeah. Well, it helped with headaches. So.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah. There was like a rehab center in Mountain View. I found some pictures, some old photographs from Little Rock, some from I used to play at a music venue called the Pontiac in Springdale. It was like a coffee shop. And I didn't realize it was actually a really old historic building. And I found some pictures of like the sign of that and stuff. I thought it was pretty cool.
Well, that's like, what is it? Is it in Heber Springs where they have, I know that it's the, whatever that haunted hotel is, but it used to.
Oh,
like,
Eureka Springs.
Eureka Springs. What did I say? Heber. Oh, I said Heber Springs.
The Crescent Hotel.
Yeah, but didn't that used to be like a tuberculosis place? And then like it was like a mental institute, and the guy was doing lobotomies on people.
So it was I believe it was a war hospital, like a hospital during World War I or something. Mm-hmm. And then this guy had bought it and had the miracle or the
That's
miracle
what it
cure.
was. Yeah,
it was like tonic water or water from the spring.
But then he was also like taking people's brains out.
Yeah, he was doing some pretty effed up
Yeah,
some fucked up shit.
He was doing some R-word stuff.
Yeah, and then have you seen like the ghost hunters of the Crescent Hotel?
I watch it's on the documentary channel because everything on there is real.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty crazy. The documentary Star Trek is on there. It's pretty crazy. I've been in the Crescent Hotel and there's another one that's supposedly haunted called the Basin Hotel. I actually have a ghost story about the Basin Hotel. I think I saw a ghost there.
I feel bad because I don't like to do haunted houses, and which is interesting topic to talk about because it is it September right now? So next is October is next month, right?
Spooky month.
That's right.
We got to start doing spooky episodes.
September.
Yeah.
And then next month is Halloween. I don't do haunted houses.
I don't either.
I don't like them, and it's all because I have this fear that what if that person is a real killer? Yeah. And then no one's going to believe you. And you know what? Maybe he only kills one person and gets away with it. And then everybody's like, wait, this guy's really killing people. But you're still going to, what if you're that one person? Mm-hmm. Because everyone's going to be like, oh, no, it's part of the show. Keep on moving along. And like, he's just stabbing people. In the neck, you know? And then everyone's just like, it's okay. It's part of the show. Like, I'm not going to be a part of that.
Yeah. I won't do haunted houses for sure. Because it's just, I really, really hate. I don't like watching scary movies in movie theaters.
I do like that. Oh, is it because of
It's the sound. Oh, have you ever seen Midsommar? Oh, dude, that movie's fucked up.
I've seen the previews for it.
It messed me up a little bit. Like really? It forces you to see things that you don't want to see.
Is that the one where like it's the people and they're like in like Germany or something?
Norway,
Norway.
Yeah, some kind of I had this like little black lady next to me the whole time.
You were holding her hand?
No, all I heard was her go, and everything. And there's like this scene with you just see like a bunch of naked women, and you hear her like in disapproval. She's like, and then there's a scene where you see the dude's flaccid penis, like not even hard. It's just limp as he's running around naked. And she's like, like, I could tell how she was feeling throughout the whole movie.
I'm surprised she didn't just go, nope.
Yeah. Nope.
My pseudo father-in-law, I call him my pseudo father-in-law because he's not legally my father-in-law. But that's what it's like to watch movies with him. Yeah. It's the worst. Like we'll be watching like Captain America. And he's the guy that's like, what? Now, why would you go in there? You knew, you knew you were going to get blown up. It's like, well, if they knew that, I don't think they would have done that. Right. And secondly, it's fake.
It's make believe.
It's not real. It's yeah.
No, I don't like going into haunted houses because I don't like the loud noises and the jump scares, like you know.
Have you ever thought about wearing one of those safety vests like dogs wear?
And like bubble wrap, like probably should make me feel safe. Yeah. But I love the haunted house, like the real ghost stuff.
I do too because there's no acting. Like your brain really starts to believe what you're hearing. Like you assume you're just convincing yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally don't believe any of it, but if I'm wrong, oh my God, I'm going to lose my shit.
I believe it a little bit because I think that there is way too much about this world dimensionally that we don't understand.
I agree, yeah.
And so I don't think, my argument has always been that I don't think that it's it's like ghosts. Like, I don't think it's like a demon or an entity that's trying to kill you. What I think is that somehow there was like a glitch in the time-space continuum. And so, because it's always the same thing. Like when you go to the Crescent Hotel, it's like, they're like, oh yeah, this lady is always seen coming down the stairs.
Yeah.
I think that it's like a weird slice in time where it's two pieces of time playing over itself.
Yeah.
You know, so you're really just seeing like a rerun of this moment in time, and something about that location on the time grid or whatever.
I think,
you know,
our like emotions, we're getting super into weird stuff now, but like I think those high emotion times, I think they release some sort of energy.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, I don't really necessarily believe in like our auras and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I saw a girl the other day that was like walking by the gym. I just get like the greatest
because you have a
characters.
coffee shop right next
Walk
to
in
the
front of the gym. I had a furry. You know what a furry is?
is it the people who dress up like animals and have sex?
Yeah. I had a furry that walked in front of the gym while I'm teaching jiu-jitsu. I literally turned around and I go, okay, 1, 2, 3. And the whole gym like stopped and just stared at this furry walking by. I was like, wow.
And this is in Conway. Like, this isn't even that big of a city.
It's so weird. But anyways, I had this lady walk by and I just looked at her and thinking like, what are the odds that she's a Reiki master? You could just see it in her. Like she's totally. But I think definitely like during those high emotions when like somebody's murdered or something, there's some sort of energy that could be released or whatever. Let me tell you my ghost story.
Okay.
We went to my ex-girlfriend and I, we went to the Basin Hotel in Eureka Springs, which apparently a long time ago had burned down and a bunch of people died or whatever. I was watching, it was like 1 a.m. There was like a UFC in some foreign country going on. So I was watching that, and there was a guy that fought a guy that I fought. So I was like kind of interested in the fight, right? And I'm sitting there watching it, and there's a bathroom door in front of us, and we're on like the 4th floor. So we're pretty high up. And in the bathroom, I kind of look over, the door's open. There's a light that's shining in through the window. And there's a shadow that's against the wall that I had just assumed or against the door that I just assumed had always been there. When I looked away from the TV and focused in on the shadow like acted as if it had caught me looking at it and then walked away.
It was jerking off.
Just moved away. Yeah, it was some guy jerking off out the window. Look at that guy watching UFC. He looks so hot right now.
Is that Mitch's aunt?
Yeah. But yeah, and I wasn't freaked out at all. It was just like, that was weird. You know, it didn't bother me. I thought about it. I was like, probably like a ghost or something. And
you're like super nonchalant.
I really was. I was like, in the next morning, I was like, why was I not like freaked out by that? That'd totally be something that I'd be shitting myself over.
I like how your take was like you and the ghost both were like, hey man, I ain't fucking with you. I ain't fucking with
you. What really happened was like I got up and punched something and was freaking out. Oh my God. And I was like, yeah, dude, it was just no big deal.
So I have a ghost story. And it was really weird. So like, I was with an ex-girlfriend of mine from high school, and there was at this dead end that we used to have at the end of my street. I lived out in the middle of nowhere off on the lake, and there was like areas where they were going to build houses, but they had stopped building houses. So there was these dead ends. So we were out there and, we're making out or whatever. And, I kept hearing something like scratching on the vehicle. And, I was like, maybe it's like a limb or a tree or something like that. I don't know. And so it got to the point where it was like pretty loud. And, I was like, dude, we need to get out of here. Like, this is getting weird. And so, so we left, and I got back to my house, and woke up the next day and went out to go to work, and there was a hook.
You're so full of shit. God damn it. I knew as soon as you started with that, you were on some bullshit. I was like, no. As soon as I heard you say that that there was a stick scratching the top of your car. Nope. Mitch isn't allowed to tell ghost stories anymore. That's getting cut out of the final episode.
You gotta leave it in. That's gonna be awesome.
This is a good time. Give me 1 second. I'm not going pee. We need to
Oh yeah, because
feedback out of that.
That and it was super cold.
Yeah. Now it's about to get super hot in here. Last episode I was freaking sweating.
It's because you were hungover.
That's true. I wasn't really all that hungover. The weekend was really not that wild. I mean, we got drunk on Friday at like 9 o'clock. I was spent, and then they got shots out and woke me up for my second wind. And then Saturday, I was in bed by like 9:30.
After you guys went and did some charity work.
Yeah, we did get to go like ride go-kart. There's like some guy that lives out in the hills that built his own go-kart track and has like ungoverned go-karts.
That's actually really awesome.
And it was pretty sweet, dude. We went on both Friday and Saturday. We went and then we're like, oh, we got to go back for more.
And you're like, does anyone have any extra tokens?
Yeah. Oh man. No, that was that was fun. It was just not nearly as exciting as you'd think a thing would be. Should we plug like our Patreon?
Always.
Should
always plug the Patreon. So thank you to whoever it is that who is it who's given $5?
Jay.
I don't know who that is.
Jay Knutson. He's one of my students. He's a white belt.
Is that Wayne Knutson's brother?
No, not even close. No, he's a white belt that trains at my gym, and he's all about it.
This is his shout out. So shout out to James because he's the only one donating to the Patreon.
We'll get more.
We need more.
So we have a goal of $100 a month, which we're gonna have more tiers. There will be more tiers. We have a $5 tier right now. We will have a $1 and a $3 tier, so that everybody can help out. And
so we got we have stickers now. Yep. The Rough and Tumble podcast. So check out the Instagram because we'll have pictures of those up. We have patches.
Patches will be here on Monday.
So we're going to edit that out where we're just going to say patches because this is going to get released on Monday. So.
Oh, yeah. I totally forgot.
So you remember that whole like talking about getting ahead?
Yeah. That's what I was trying to do. We got to be on the same page here if we want to get ahead.
So we have patches and then we're working on a t-shirt idea. But we're not going to tell anybody what it is.
Working on a couple of t-shirt ideas. Here's what I want. I want people to send us their favorite quotes and favorite things from the podcast so that we can get better ideas of what people might want. Obviously, we're going to have like our logo on a t-shirt, something like that. But we want to put like some quotes out there, something that other people can notice and be in on the joke.
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea. And the t-shirt idea that we have, I think we've said this particular phrase enough that that the 7 people that listen to us are really going to enjoy this t-shirt. And then so if you donate $1, then you get a sticker. Mm-hmm. We'll mail you a sticker or hand you a sticker next time we see you. $5 would be a sticker and a patch.
Yes.
$10, sticker and a patch and a picture of me and Jonny. We're actually going to have professional pictures made. We'll have those soon. And you guys will get a picture of us.
And, that's going to be good.
And then if you donate $100, you get a t-shirt. Because it costs a lot of money to make t-shirts. So we can't.
Yeah, that's true. I want to do like boudoir pictures of me with just my black belt. I think that'd be hilarious.
I want to do with me wearing one of those things that people, what are those? They wear garters.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to have like a 1950s pistol.
I was thinking about that. We had to go to Silver Dollar City and get those old time pictures for our photos.
That would actually be
It would fit perfect with everything, too. Because especially the theme of the episode artwork.
Yep.
All of it. It would be brilliant. We ought to do that, honestly. Except it's like $1 million to get into that damn place.
It is $1 million to get into Silver Dollar City. And then it costs $2 million to get those pictures made. And so, but yeah, so go donate to the Patreon. All that money goes to pay for the streaming fees that we have to pay for because it's not free. So whenever people are listening to us on Spotify, Instagram, or not Spotify, God damn it, what the fuck are we on?
Spotify. We're about to be on iTunes, Google Play.
There you go.
YouTube, but we don't have to pay for YouTube.
No, but people, just the Podbean, like we have to pay for these streaming services. We have to buy new equipment. We want to get another microphone so we can start having guests on the show.
Yes.
And
we'll also be releasing content specifically for the Patreon.
That's
donors.
Right.
So the way it works is basically you get to receive whatever we want to put out. So we're going to be releasing the episode artwork early. Maybe if we can get an episode ahead, we're going to start releasing the episode early on Patreon, but we have to get our shit together first. If you really start donating money, that'll be one of the benefits is Mitch and Jonny will get their shit together.
Yep. So you're really you're donating to the cause. And then also we're going to start doing shout outs. So Mr. Knutson got the first shout out on the podcast. So if you start donating to the Patreon, you're going to get a shout out on the podcast. And speaking of shout outs, I talked to TJ Brown.
Yeah.
And
he said that you were funny.
He said that I was, and he had the most serious look on his face when he said it.
I take great offense to that.
He said, Johnny's funny, but not really.
I think that TJ is, I think we've got some shit to handle. I'm just kidding. I don't think that our humor aligns. Because I've said some things where I'll look at him and he just kind of looks at me and I'm like, you didn't think that was funny at all. And I just move on.
Well, me and TJ are homeboys, so he's one of my favorite training partners. And we're from like similar areas of the world. And so I think there's a piece to that too. But no, he's actually injured right now.
I saw that he tore his MCL.
It's a grade 2 MCL tear, and so here's the thing about that. What a lot of people don't realize is he's had that injury for months.
Yeah.
Right. And he still went out and knocked people unconscious, got a contract for the UFC, was training every day, wrestling on Sundays. I mean, the dude was putting in massive amount of work. So the whole time he had a grade 2 tear in his MCL. So me, I actually hit my toe on my bed the other night.
My back hurts.
I haven't trained in 6 months. So and so that's a big piece of that. I was thinking about, never mind. It doesn't matter. So yeah, get well soon, TJ. And really looking forward to his first fight in the UFC. So this kind of put a damper on that. He won the contract. So this is going to give him, he's going to have to take a little time off. But man, I can't wait to pay ESPN Plus $4.99 a month plus an additional $55 to be able to watch him fight. So,
yeah, that's going to be exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So
it's the best part of UFC, honestly.
My favorite part of UFC is that I have to pay ESPN Plus $4.99 a month. So I came across some really good Mackenzie Darren thirsty quotes.
Yes.
That I wanted to share with you.
McDarren quotes.
Yes, and so that people understand this, Jonny and I purposely don't tell each other these things because we don't want to ruin anything. And so I've been, how hard it's been for me not to send you these quotes.
I know.
Because they're super funny.
We honestly have to stop ourselves and make conversation and be like, no, let's stop talking about this and save it for the podcast.
Yes, because me and Jonny talk probably multiple times a day, every day. And so it's really hard a lot of times because it's like an inside joke. And the only person that thinks it's funny is you.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, so I'm gonna set this up. So I got him on my phone here. I saved him on my the picture is Mackenzie Darren eating sushi. So I'll show you the picture. It's just this picture, right? And you guys can go look at the Mackenzie.
I don't know why that's so funny.
I know.
I could just already picture the comments on it.
So good. All right, so so the first quote. So for you guys who don't know, Mackenzie Darren is married to a surfer, and she just had a baby. Like she just had a baby a couple of months ago, which means that she's breastfeeding. And so the picture is Mackenzie Darren eating some sushi. She's got like her mouth open and she's putting the sushi into her mouth. And when this guy goes, lots of guys wishing that sushi was something else. I'm assuming they mean a penis. And then this is my favorite one because it's like this guy incorporated the baby. He says, I think we all want to see what the baby had for dinner. It's so
That's ridiculous. A clever one.
I know.
He spent time on that one.
So this is my favorite one. This is my favorite one because this guy is so direct, right? He just says, every time I see it, he just says, something tells me Darren likes to suck dick. And that she's really good at it. And then one of these.
The shrug.
the shrug emoji is just him going, maybe?
What's it? I want to see what his profile is. It's probably like youth pastor.
No, it's
father of 4. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm not going to say that what he looks like, but if people were to go see this, they would go, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So my favorite one is not even aggressive. It's this person, it's Ben's Fit. So I pretty much just got this guy like 50,000 Instagram follows. His name's Ben's Fit. And this one's not even aggressive. It's not even vulgar. I just like how passionate he is about this. So he or she says, I used to love it. Now it's all contaminated with all the crap we dump in the water. And yet people are still eating it and depleting the oceans of all kinds of fish. So much so.
Oh, no.
So much so that fish are literally starving. You don't believe me? Look it up. This person turned it into a political thing. Yeah. And apparently, according to him or her, fish are currently starving to death in the oceans.
It turns into like an anti-vax conversation.
That's what I thought was so funny about it, was like, it went from this guy going, I'm pretty sure Mackenzie Darren sucks dick, to this next comment. This guy's like, no, seriously, guys, we are starving fish, and you're eating starving fish right now.
That's the wait. That's not the same guy.
No, it's a different guy.
Okay, I was about to say, if that's the same guy commenting this, that's even better.
Wouldn't it? He's just like, that bitch looks like she sucks some dick. By the way,
the fish are dying.
The fish are dying, people. We need to get our shit together.
Less fish in your mouth and more dicks. Trying to save the planet. That's the t-shirt right there. Eat dicks, not fish.
Oh man,
that would be a great restaurant, like some restaurant called Dick's Chicken or something, and it's like, eat dicks, not fish.
And then for all those
spit it out.
All those that's what you said.
Hey yo.
All those dick joke fans out there just got their dick jokes for the episode. So you're welcome.
There's your serving.
There's your serving, guys. That's probably all you're gonna get.
Let's get into the topic. We actually have a topic for this podcast.
We do. In full disclosure, I purposely have not done any research on the rough and tumble fighting style
because Mitch can't read.
I have no idea what the words are. So to me, it looks, when I look at a book, it looks exactly like if I was looking at a mud puddle.
Like hieroglyphics?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, the Egyptians, I don't get it.
Let me open. Okay, so the topic is exactly our name, the American rough and tumble fighting style, also known as gouging.
Gouging?
Gouging. Yeah, I think I had a couple other names, but I don't remember them.
Not to be confused with gaping.
Gaping.
Gaping is a porn style.
So there's the next t-shirt.
That's right.
Gaping.
Gaping.
Gape. So there was a book written in like 1985, I think.
So recently.
Pretty recently, within the past 20 years, 30 years. There's a guy, his name is Elliot Gorn. He wrote the book on Rough and Tumble. I mean, like literally wrote it. And it's compiled of a lot of different stories because Rough and Tumble was common in the 1730s, but it had started to die out by the 1830s. And so there was a lot of, there's no real pictures of anything that went on. There's some drawings and there's some different accounts of people on their travels, like writing in their diary about it.
And so, like running into it and seeing it happen?
Yeah, because it all happened in the backwoods of like Virginia, primarily, even some in Kentucky and down south and so on and so forth. But anyways, here's this quote from this book. It says, although historians are more likely to study people thinking, governing, worshiping, or working, how men fight, who participates, who observes, which rules are followed, what is at stake, what tactics are allowed, reveals much about past cultures and societies.
I would agree.
I think that's brilliant. I think that could be like a tagline for our podcast. You know, yeah. I think that just like sums up everything that I love about fighting. Is it just reveals so much about people's character as well as people's culture.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, as a whole, how that culture fights reveals a lot about that culture.
Yeah, like if you're like capoeira in Brazil was dance fighting, and that says a lot about Brazilians.
Yeah, they just dance.
They just dance fight, and all their music sounds like neighbors fighting.
Yeah, yeah. So capoeira, actually, I've read some interesting things on that too. We might get into that one day. So a lot of people think that it was like this weird, like illegal, like it was illegal for the slaves to fight, so they disguised it as dancing or whatever. That's not the case. It was actually gangs in Brazil that would like hold razor blades and attach razor blades to their feet.
What?
And so they would do those dance moves on, like, say, the corner of a favela. Mm-hmm. They would do those moves and they would fight on the corner of this favela as a way to, like, stake their claim to that area. And it was a way of intimidation.
I feel like there were so many other ways you could have intimidated someone.
Yeah, right? Like with a gun. No.
Anybody want to do a backflip with a razor blade?
No, I read it in that, I told you about the book that I was reading that gave the pretty much every instance of fighting.
Now I see why they changed the story to, no, it was because the slaves weren't allowed to fight.
Yeah, it's so much more.
Because it was really just a bunch of flamboyant Brazilians running around dancing with razor blades.
Yeah.
So it was basically West Side Story.
Yeah. I think it was made illegal at one point, like the actual capoeira.
Because they were like, they probably were like, you guys look absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
So we need you to stop doing it.
This isn't Studio 54.
This isn't Studio 54. Get the hell out of here. Take off those pajama pants. Yeah, so the rough and tumble. No, I agree with you on that quote and being able to study the different fighting styles of different cultures, because even, we talked about Turkish oil wrestling, which is pretty much just a giant porno.
Here's another shout out. My friend Josh showed me that. He loves it when I tell people that he was the one to introduce me to Turkish oil wrestling. Basically, Turkish oil wrestling is exactly what it sounds like. Two men wearing capris and slathered up in oil, while old men who used to oil wrestle watch them in pleasure as they stick their hands down each other's pants in order to get the single and double leg takedown.
Yep, that was the weirdest part for me when I was watching the video. Was not only did the guy put his hands down the back of the guy's pants, the guy who was having his pants entered into didn't do anything to stop it.
Yeah. He had his hand down the front of his pants.
Yeah, it was super weird. But I agree, being able to study those things. And what's cool is you hear about all these exotic fighting styles like capoeira, Turkish oil wrestling, savate in areas of like France and stuff like that. And we forget that America itself was founded on very, very aggressive stylings of, the early part of American history was extremely aggressive in every way, not even just talking about, the fact that we had the American Revolution and the French Revolutionary War, and then the Civil War, and so these were all wars that were happening in the United States, something that we could never even begin to imagine happening now, right? All of our wars are fought in other people's countries now. But the American people, men of the American times, this is how they settled a lot of disputes, was this, I'm going to stand in front of you and we're going to settle this. And then, of course, the advent of pistols and things like that started to make cowards out of men, in my opinion, because people started solving their problems just shooting you in the back instead of handling it this way, right?
No, they would duel.
They would duel. That's right. Because
I've heard that dueling didn't happen nearly as much as.
No. Why would you want to do that?
I know, it's such a stupid. But then again, we also used to walk straight at each other in big lines and shoot at one another for a matter of warfare.
Very, very, very tactical formations. The Taliban tried doing that against us recently, and it hasn't worked out well for them. So anyway, this guy wrote the book he pretty much wrote the book on Rough and Tumble.
I mean, there's almost nothing else out there.
I know, I've looked.
So the rules, there's 3 different rule sets. There's no holds barred, which is basically would be like MMA, right? Like you can kick, punch, go to the ground, do whatever, but no biting or anything like that. And then Broughton styles,
which is the boxing rules, thing,
which
right?
is boxing,
right?
Just boxing. And then the rough and tumble. And the goal of rough and tumble, the ultimate goal, the KO, was to remove somebody's eyeball from their socket.
God damn.
And then you get to keep that as a trophy.
Where would you put it?
In your pocket.
What if it gets smushed?
I have no idea.
I assume eyeballs are awfully soft.
Yeah, I would imagine they would like decay.
Yeah. You ever carried tater tots around in your pocket?
There's a story of like this guy that had like his ear missing, and a girl looked at him and said like, see you didn't fare too well in the rough and tumble match, and he pulled an eyeball out of his pocket and said,
like,
"Oh, did I?
Oh, joke's on you, bitch."
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they had sex.
And that's pretty much how it was. Like the dude that
do that now. Try doing that now.
Rough and Tumbler was the fucking man in the area.
He got his dick bit off, so it didn't matter.
Yeah, that was the other targets. There was genital removal. There was ears, nose, and mouth. And here's what I think is funny is like when I teach self-defense, the number one self-defense concept, go for squishy stuff.
Squishy stuff?
Yeah. I mean, like if I claw you in the throat,
like
if I grab your ear, they're like bags of sand. If I grab your ear, gouge your eye, your nose, that's the stuff that's going to do, that's the easiest for me to get a hold of, and from a person that has no training to understand.
So putting this into perspective, right? I think everybody who's trained in some combat sport has had their eye poked, right? And nobody's eye came out. And imagine that, all right? So I've poked people in the eye on accident. That's coming in pretty quick, pretty aggressive, and accidentally stabbing someone in the eye. And their eyeball doesn't come out. Right. So now imagine what you have to do that on purpose and get the eyeball out in one piece.
Thumbs.
It's all thumbs.
And
I'm sure there's a technique to it. But what do you like practice? You kill a deer and then you're like you go out into the forest. 1, 2. That's what's crazy. And I can only imagine how hard it is to rip a dick off. I've never done it. I've yanked on mine a few times.
With as much as I've pulled on mine, it should be detached. That thing is tough.
And it's still there. So I can imagine, I would end up just jerking the guy off.
Get off of there.
Get off of there. I think I'm getting close. There's stuff coming out of it.
They would file their nails down to points and then cover them in wax. They would file their teeth down in order to...
Did they cover their teeth in wax?
I don't know. I would imagine their teeth are stronger than their fingernails. I think the wax is to prevent it from breaking and their fingernails from coming off, but I
just figured the fingernails would just get in the way of everything.
No, you got to get through them eyelids before you get to the eyeball.
God,
you know
so
what I'm saying?
crazy.
Dude, it's brutal. And the funny thing about it is there's so many parallels between the way that... So imagine a high school fight, right? What happens? The very first thing that happens in a high school fight. Walk me through it.
I pull my pants down.
What?
You weren't looking for that?
No, that's not what I was wanting. Take me through exactly what would happen in a high school fight, though.
I feel like I just did that.
God damn it.
So, in my high school, what you would do is you would bump shoulders and then walk in a circle. Mm-hmm. And then try to shove each other with your shoulders. And then eventually one person would push the other person off of them and say, "Get off me." And then everybody else would start going, "Fight, fight, fight, fight." And then if I haven't already pulled my pants down, that's when I would do it. So what do you do in your high school?
Yeah, well, this is how it would play out for me. Usually I would instigate a fight between two people, and I would 100% do this. This was absolutely the kind of person I was. I would we were at an assembly and I'd be like, "Hey dude, did you hear what he said about you? He said some mad shit." And then they'd get into a fight, right? So they would talk shit.
At no point did people start going, I'm not 100% sure that Johnny's telling the truth.
Yeah, Johnny's been the center of 30 fights now. How's this happening? So
instead it was well, if Johnny said it, it must be true.
I was the last person that they would believe. They would start talking shit and then they would square up and bump chests. And then a circle would start forming around of people. And that circle would be the ring or the octagon, right? People would chant or whatever. That's pretty much exactly how rough and tumble matches would happen. And they said that it was remarkably easy to offend somebody. If I called you
so just like it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I called you a name, I mean, if I was like, "Hey, Mitch,"
what would you call me? What
something if I would, minimal. If I was like, "Dude, you're a loser," you'd be like, "What the fuck did you say?" Or
that's exactly what I would do right now. What was it? I'm not a loser.
You jive turkey.
You jive turkey.
A jive turkey would set up a rough and tumble match. The whole town, and these are small towns because they're in the mountains of Virginia,
right?
Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, kind of all over the South.
We don't have mountains in Louisiana.
Well, the swamps, by the toilets. But so the whole town would shut down. Shops would shut down. everything would shut down.
They would send like a paper boy from door to door, and he would be like, fight, fight, fight.
They said this would happen like 2 to 3 times a week.
God, it's because there's nothing else to do.
I guess, yeah.
There's nothing else to do. Like, nobody's watching TV. And all you're doing is interrupting puppet shows. You know? Just
kids,
shadow puppet
wrap it
shows.
up, kids. There's a rough and tumble fight at 1.
What? Fuck.
They would, and they would schedule them too. But anyways, these travelers that wrote about it, they even noted that there was a thing that they called the magic circle. That was the group of people that formed the circle that created the ring that they would fight in. Anything that happened outside of that was, you know, or like anything that happened inside of that was fair game. But I guess once they were outside of that circle, it was settled. But they wouldn't.
I like that they called it a magic circle.
Yeah, like
I mean, we have magic circles now on our bodies.
But it's like such a random thing to note that it makes me feel like that it was a new idea.
So did these fights ever end in draws? Were there other accounts where like nobody won?
I don't think so.
I mean, you pretty much
Somebody had to either give up
or have an orgasm,
die,
just jerking them off.
Yeah, until they die, or I think even like if I ripped your eyeball out and ripped your ear off, unless you told me to stop,
we just kept going.
We just kept going. There's a story of a guy that ripped another guy's lip down over his chin.
Get the fuck out.
Then the guy that had his lip ripped down reversed position or whatever, slammed the dude's head into something, then bit off both of his ears. And they said he bit off one of the ears so badly it looked like you could shove a fist into his skull.
God damn.
And the guy, I think that's when the guy quit.
Yeah, he was just like, "Hey man, I got these fist holes in my head now.
Yeah, I gotta take it easy.
I'm gonna sit these next couple of innings out.
Yeah, I can have a rest day." Bragging was another piece that was like a piece of Rough and Tumble, like bragging, and they would compare themselves to animals. Like, I've got hands like a bear. I can fight a steamboat. Like, they would just say these ridiculous, absurd things. I'm not kidding, dude. It's in the book.
He said I could fight a steamboat?
Yeah, like something about a steamboat. I'm as tough as a steamboat or something like that.
Let a steamboat come to my house.
See what happens.
I bet you won't.
But they would make up these like ridiculous stories, which is also goes into part of there's a lot of inconsistencies and nobody knows exactly how common it was, because
as far as how the fights themselves.
Yeah. They said in the early 1700s, like 1730s, 1740s, it was something that every frontier man would need to be prepared for pretty much at any time.
Which makes sense.
And then it started to die out. It got popular and spread, and then started to die out with those guns. But with after the spike came a lot of stories and a lot of tales.
Tall Tales?
Yeah, Tall Tales. And so, did you ever watch that movie with Paul Bunyan?
I did.
The actor Paul Bunyan. He's one of my favorites.
I've watched everything Paul Bunyan's ever been in.
Yeah. What if Paul Bunyan was a rough and tumble fighter?
He'd never want to fight.
Dude, he'd be ripping skulls clean off.
Yeah.
Just right off their necks. Yeah, anyways, I think it's freaking cool.
I agree.
Awesome.
And then, were there any like people will always talk about, George St Pierre, were there like these well-known like...
I looked for some. I wanted there to be... They specifically said, I think in the Wikipedia article or something, it mentions a specific gangly man from Missouri. And I was like, oh, that could be related to that guy. Gangly from Missouri. And so there's like places that are like Gouge Creek, or there's some like roads that are named after people, like nicknames of people
in honor of their
fighting, I guess. But I haven't been able to find any like specific like the best rough and tumble fighter ever or whatever.
Oh man, what if we could find that and then go take a picture of the street sign?
I really want to. I think that'd be cool.
That'd be super cool.
I think there's a lot more still. I just haven't found it all. Yeah, I'm still pretty on the Google page. I've only got
it's
page
still,
1.
Rough and Tumble's a fairly new concept, so I understand there's not a whole lot of information out yet.
It's brand new.
It's brand new. Like it just came out. So.
But I want to get the author of that book on the show. I think that would be a really cool interview.
I'm sure he has nothing else going on.
I'm gonna try to. He's got some other books on fighting that I want to check out as well.
Oh, that'd be super cool.
I need to get the list of the books and so that I can.
Well, if we can get people to start giving us money on our Patreon, so we can afford another $42 microphone,
so I can afford a book.
So I can't pay my Audible monthly subscription of $4 without Patreon help.
Yeah, not with the ESPN Plus.
It's one of the other boys.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much all that I've found out from Rough and Tumble so far. I think that it's dude, I just when I was reading it, I was seriously in here like. I think you could probably hear me just being like, "What? No way!
Are you fucking kidding me?"
Yeah, this is insane.
They have sports now, or battles now, where it's just two guys slapping each other.
Yeah, the slap fighting. They do that in Branson.
Do they?
There's one in Branson.
Couldn't do it. You slap me in the face, I immediately get pissed off.
Yeah, we used to do when sometimes when you in like training for MMA, when you're doing ground and pound. I almost said rough and tumble. When you're doing ground and pound, the person on bottom will get to a point where they'll like hug the head and arm. Mm-hmm. And so you really can't do anything and you're just stalling inside a guard or something. And so whenever that would happen, we'd start calling for slaps. And dude, as soon as you'd hear one connect, pop, you'd hear there's like a cat fight all of a sudden. You'd see movement like crazy. Dude. Like nobody wanted to get bitch slapped.
Don't slap me in the face.
I've thought about like at the end of open mats just calling out people and like you combat jiu-jitsu go. Yeah.
So I'm a combatives instructor as well for the military. When I was going through to get my instructor upgrade, we went and trained with our SEER guys, which is our survival, evasion, resistance, and escape specialists. They do all of our aircrew training and combatives training, stuff like that. We had to set up these different scenarios. And we were doing knife scenarios where, you know, you come upon somebody and, you know, and you get the gun away from them and then like, oh, psych, got a fucking knife too, bro. Mm-hmm. And what the instructor did not tell me was that it was a taser knife.
Oh, I hate those.
And yeah.
I hate them so much.
Yeah. And so I'm wrestling this gun away from this person. And then I just hear like, pop, 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 pop. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Yeah. I'm like, what is that? And then I feel it on the back of my what I would refer to as my love handles on my back fat. And I almost shit my pants.
Yeah.
Like as soon as I felt it, like my magic circle that I refer to as my butthole, it just like opened up and I had to really work to get it back in. But I was like, what the fuck is happening right now? And I ripped his eyeball out. So that was the last time he ever pulled a taser knife on me.
I want to teach jiu-jitsu moves and start adding like at the very end, like, and then you gouge his eye out, you know, like a rough and tumble jiu-jitsu move. I think that'd be hilarious.
Looks like somebody lost.
So has the Army combatives, do you feel like it's gotten better?
I'm not in the Army, so I don't know. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry. I always refer to all combatives forms as Army combatives.
Yeah, it's okay.
Sorry, you're Air Force.
I am in the Air Force. That's correct.
Air Force combatives.
So I am Air Force combatives certified. I actually go in October. I go to the Air Force Academy to get my master certification so that I can actually certify instructors. And I get to spend 3 weeks in Colorado Springs training with several different combatives instructors from all over the Air Force. Some of which will probably be Army because we do cross certification. Mm-hmm. And Dave Darnell, the guy who runs the instructor program there at the Air Force Academy, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, trains there locally. So that's going to be pretty cool. I'm actually nervous about it because it's at altitude. Yeah. And so I'm in pretty good shape right now. I've been getting ready for those fights coming up next weekend. It's going to be one of those things where it's going to be like, this is super badass, but I also feel like I'm going to have a lot of problems with the altitude. Mm-hmm. But all combatives programs have come a long way. So we have like the initial combatives program that's given it what we call a session courses. So like basic training, officer, OTS, the Air Force Academy. And it's just super basic stuff. I talked to an Air Force Academy grad recently, actually yesterday, and he said they've taken a lot of the stand-up stuff out of the curriculum and it's mostly grappling now. And I understand why. From a battlefield perspective, the people that we're fighting now, you're not going to get into a boxing or kickboxing match with them. It's going to be, they're going to jump the fuck on top of you and try to choke, like try to crush your windpipe with their AK-47s or whatever. So a lot of it is grappling based. They've kind of pulled a lot of that out. The Army was the first one to do it. So the Air Force has always followed suit with what the Army has done. So the Army Combatives program came along way back in the 90s, and the Army actually went to the Gracie family and said, hey, we want to have you guys helping us develop this combatives program. So it was very, very much Gracie Jiu-Jitsu based. And then the Marines came on with their McMat program, which is the Marines Mixed Martial Arts. And then the Army's is called MACP, which is their, I can't remember what it stands for. I know that the C and the P stand for combatives program, but it's Modern Army Combatives Program. There you go. And then ours is just called AFPC, which is the Air Force Combatives Program, AFCP. It has come a long way. And I think a big reason why is because back in the day, we had limited resources. Nobody knew a whole lot about it. Nobody knew a lot about ground fighting for sure. And now that most of your combatives instructors in the military are also like purple, brown, and black belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
That's good. Yeah.
A lot of them are MMA fighters. So these are guys who are really passionate about fighting. They're really passionate about grappling arts and stuff like that. And so they have a more vested interest in trying to increase the reality of the programs. So it's pretty cool. So when I come back, I'll let you know more.
I done a class, like one of their program classes or whatever. I don't know what you would call it, in Georgia and Atlanta. What's the base in Atlanta? What is that?
I don't know that there's one in Atlanta.
It's like a.
Oh no, you're thinking
college,
is it an Air Force base? Or is it an Army base?
I wouldn't be able to tell you for sure.
Okay, I know that there is an Army base out there because there's a Special Forces group out there, and then for the Air Force we've got two. Dobbins and Robbins are out there.
I can't remember which one it was. We were stuck in Atlanta on our way to Brazil, and then we had a friend that picked us up for a couple of days, took us out there. Anyways, but when they were doing it, one of the guys was teaching like neon belly escape using like an elbow to the thigh. Mm-hmm. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to kill you.
Right.
You elbowing me in the thigh is not going to do anything. Mm-mm. My knee is not moving from your chest because you're elbowing me in the thigh. Like,
yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to take that bruise.
And that's what you're going to find. You find a lot of people who are looking at ways to, the reality would be and this is what I think the Air Force has done, thankfully, is the Air Force always takes a cerebral approach to everything. Mm-hmm. And so, they did case studies. They watched different fights. They saw and the Gracies did it too, but you narrow it down to, there's well over 500 techniques in jiu-jitsu. And they narrowed it down to roughly 15 techniques that are commonly occurring.
Yeah.
So like you said, elbowing the guy in the thigh. It's like, well, that guy probably did that to somebody and it worked. So he's like, all right, I'm going to teach this now.
Yeah.
But you're right, man. When you're active, I mean, look at some of the UFC fighters or MMA fighters that come out after a fight. Their face looks like hamburger meat, mm-hmm. but you wouldn't know any different while the fight's happening.
Yeah.
And it's because of being in the moment, being in the adrenaline situation, all those types of things. And so, yeah, elbow me in the thigh, like you can grab my dick. I'll get a response.
That might go for squishy stuff.
Yeah, go for the squishy stuff. Rip that bad boy off. Yeah. Good luck finding my nuts.
But chances are, if my knee's on your chest and I'm punching in the face, it's not very squishy.
Right. Your magic hole is just dilating as we speak.
Magic circle.
It's just dilating. Oh, another T-shirt. So, but yeah, it's. The programs have come a long way. And when I want to see it, I would like to see it spread to the more common forces as well. Yeah. Not just like your security forces guys, your infantry guys and girls. What I plan to do is once I get done with this certification program with my unit at Little Rock Air Force Base, I plan to actually try to implement it into the unit where it's going to be offered yearly for our people to do it. And like I said in the interview that I gave a while back with our public affairs people, our day begins and ends at our place of work, but your life begins and ends outside the walls of the base, And so this idea, like nobody's going to rob you at the BX. Where you're going to get attacked is going to be pumping gas in Jacksonville when you're least expecting it. You know what I mean? And that's what we need to equip our people with is the know-with-all. We disguise it in the shape of Air Force combatives, but really we're teaching self-defense. Mm-hmm. And it's free. They don't have, it's part, like, you're getting paid to come learn how to defend yourself, as opposed to going to Gravitas or Westside or any of the number of the other gyms in the area where you're going to pay a tuition every month, you know? Like,
right.
So that's kind of my piece. And then I would also like to eventually get enough people together that we can create an Air Force grappling team to go, because the Army has different tournaments that they do, and it's all combatives tournaments and stuff.
Yeah.
Where you wear the, you know, your uniform and stuff like that. And so I'd like to put together a team here at Little Rock Air Force Base where we would travel and get to go to different Army bases and stuff and compete representing the Air Force in these different Army combatives programs.
Put me in, coach.
Put me in, exactly.
Oh, I'll go do it.
Well, you have to have military affiliation.
Yeah, that's fine.
So,
my dad was
you
in
had
the
your
military.
chance. So
That's what I have you for, Mitch.
that's right.
So the thing that I've struggled with, because I do a lot of work with the police department here in town.
That's your criminal record.
Yeah. I do a lot of work with the police department, teaching them like defensive tactics, and I even get to teach like handcuffing techniques.
Oh, sweet.
Which is cool. And I try to study on that and stay up to date on that. But the most frustrating thing about it is, and I tell I'm very upfront with them. I'm like, listen, I don't care if you train here or at the other gym in town. It doesn't matter to me. You have to be in a gym. You have to train.
Yes.
You cannot. And dude, it is so hard to get cops in.
It is. I had a discussion. So one of my close friends, Christian Davenport, I mean, he's in my opinion, he's a registered badass. He really is. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He spent, it's my understanding, and if I'm wrong about this, I apologize, Christian, but it's my understanding that he spent most, if not all, of his Army career in the SF community, right, as a special forces guy, and then he was a Little Rock police officer. He now is a contractor, so he works for the State Department doing things like that. I've had that conversation with him where I'm like, dude, why are there not more police officers taking advantage of this stuff, right? There's a couple of guys. So I teach a 6 a.m. class at Westside. There's a couple of Little Rock police officers that come in, but that's about it. Like, I don't know of any other police officers. And I asked Christian, and one of the things that he kind of said to me was, whether this is true or not, it is what it is. I don't know, but I have verified this through a couple of different police officers, is that they don't like the idea of knowing that an average person can beat the shit out of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Imagine what that must feel like for a police officer. You're out there trying to control a suspect. You're trying to, out there, you are the boss.
Yeah.
Right? You've got your weapon, you've got your taser, you've got your different combative stuff that you can do, your defensive tactics. And then you go in on a Saturday and an IT guy from Dillard's named Andy beats the shit out of you. And it reminds you of your vulnerabilities, I guess. I don't know. But you would think, like, as a guy, as a person like me, I'm going to go, no, I want to learn that stuff so that I can beat the shit out of cops, robbers, or I don't know.
Cops and robbers.
Yeah, whoever fucking comes my way.
I agree with that 100%. They don't like knowing that an everyday person can beat them up. It probably doesn't help that whenever I bring them in, I'm like, listen, I'm like 2 steps away from being a criminal that you're going to arrest. And so, like... look at me.
I'm one bad decision away from being in the back of your car.
I'm the guy that you stereotyped and pulled over because of the tattoos and the shitty truck you drive. Do you think that, like, that if I decided to, do you think that you're going to stop me?
Right.
If I get my hands on you, no. Sorry. I've proven it whenever I bring them in and I have my students roll with them. Now, don't get me wrong. You tase me, you freaking hit me with that pepper spray, pull your gun out, I'm going to cry and probably poop my pants.
Yep.
But if I get a hold of you before you get any of that stuff, you better believe you're not getting a hold of any of it.
Nope.
And I have blue belt, 40-year-old blue belts that come in and prove that to them, because they'll come in and do those classes with me, and they just won't. They won't commit to it, and I'm like, you guys are insane. That's why so many people are getting shot.
I agree.
Truly believe.
You know what? I could honestly agree with that. And I'm the son of a retired police officer. And my father has never been involved. I think he's been involved in maybe one officer-involved shooting, and it was a legitimate situation. Like, there was this drug dealer coming in from, like, Colombia, and they knew he was flying in, and they, like, met him at the airport to stop him. They had other agencies with them, and he just opened up the door and started blasting him out of the air.
Was your dad Don Johnson? Did he work on Miami Vice?
My dad's way cooler than Don Johnson. This day and age, you're dealing with that more and more, because imagine the first time you got into a fight when you were in, like, high school or whatever. It's fucking chaos. You feel like you were absolutely in the worst scenario possible with no control over the situation.
Right.
And then imagine that guy might have a gun. And then imagine that there's a possibility that he has a couple of friends that are going to come over and try to help him.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it. But you're right, man. I think if people were more confident in their ability to control people and more confident in putting their hands on people,
yeah,
that's the thing that I think is beautiful about jiu-jitsu for women and for children, is not that we're teaching children how to beat each other's asses. It's that we're putting children into positions where we are callousing them, right? So you put two kids in a match together on the mats, and they're going to accidentally kick each other. They're going to accidentally hit each other in the face. They're going to get bumped in the nose and stuff like that. But over time, you develop a callus to that. And so they're not as reactive to those types of stimulants. And so I think the same thing for police officers. You know, a guy grabs a hold of you and reaches for your gun and you have no fucking clue what to do. You're going to go into survival mode, and you're going to go back to caveman brain, and you're going to pull a gun and you're going to fire a weapon.
Mm-hmm. And so if something were to happen where you went unconscious, that's free game for him now.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think that law enforcement, even EMTs and firefighters, I think, not necessarily because they're going to be dealing with bad guys, but you're going to have combative patients all the time.
Yeah.
You know?
Tell me about how you got your black belt.
So it was a sunny Sunday afternoon.
I was born. No, my black belt story was pretty cool. It was totally unexpected. I had been having different dreams about getting my black belt because I knew I was close. I was a 4-tip brown belt at the time, obviously, and I'd been training over 10 years by this point. You know, but with Rolly, it doesn't matter. You know, when he thinks you're ready, you're ready. Mm-hmm. And that's what I love about it, is that when he thinks you're ready and promotes you, you know you're ready. Yeah.
You know, it's not like a lot of schools, you know, come up and go, hey, you know, you're going to be testing for your black belt. So, you know, make sure you get all 36 of those headlock escapes, really get them down. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to show them in front of people. You know, it's like, whatever, dude. It was a Sunday open mat. So I had actually had a dream. And this is absolutely a true story. I had a dream, and I told Rolly about it a couple of weeks before this, that Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre,
Please tell them that they gave you your black belt.
No, I was hanging out with them, and like we're just chilling, you know, like me and Dre and like me and Snoop Dogg are chilling. And I'm not even a West Coast rap fan. I'm an East Coast fan. So I would much rather have been like Mos Def, Wu-Tang, something like that, you know. But unfortunately, it was some West Coasters.
Damn it.
I know.
Snoop Dogg,
I know.
Always ruining the party.
Every day, right? We were hanging out or whatever, and then like Rolly shows up, and he's like, oh, hey, what's up, fellas? And Snoop Dogg's like, bro, when you gonna promote Mitch to black belt? And I told Rolly about that, and I was like, that's a real dream. That's not a hint that I should get promoted to black belt. And he was just like, well, I already told you that I gave up my last black belt years ago, so I'm not promoting anybody else. And he carried that for a long time. Like for a long time, he was like, no, you know, it was like Mark Sniff was my last black belt. I'm not promoting anybody else to black belt. And I was like, thank God. So it was Sunday. It was a Sunday in January. We were having this big open mat at Westside. Like all teams were invited. I'm pretty sure that Gravitas was invited. You know, showed as usual.
Typical
Gravitas. Am I saying that name right? Gravitas?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I used to call it Gravitas.
Yeah, so did everybody else.
Mm-hmm. I only know that because I think I've heard you say Gravitas. But when I first saw that you opened up your gym, I was like, man, I can't have no competition. So I was actually going to go firebomb it. But I was like, nah, let's let this pan out.
Let's see what happens with it.
Yeah. We got done training, and there was like a ton of people there from all kinds of different gyms, except Gravitas wasn't there. And we're all sitting around, and Rolly you know, he's like, man, you know, you never with Westside, you never know what's going to happen or when you're going to get promoted. And he's like giving this speech or whatever, and he's like, I just feel like this is the perfect moment. And he pulls out a black belt, and I'm like, this is it, bro.
Yeah.
And then he calls Andy up to get promoted, and I was like, well, you know, that's cool, man. Like, you know, I'm just not ready yet. And I get it. Like, I'm getting verklempt, you know, because I'm like, well, it's not fair, but I get it. Because I thought I was just as good.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. And so I'm like, you know, I'm clapping for him because I'm reluctantly clapping at him because good for you, Andy. You know, way to go. Good for you. But Andy absolutely deserved it. Andy's a way better black belt than I am. He was a way better brown belt than me too. Well, then after that, he's like, Rolly's talking, and he said, you never know what's going to happen. And then he said, almost everybody always ends up at Westside, which was interesting because he had offered me when I was leaving the Gracie Baja organization to open up my own gym. He had offered to let me come train with him. He's like, man, you come over here. I think you just need to be a student again. I was a purple belt, and I was like, no, I'm going to do my own thing. And here it is, years later, I actually ended up coming to Westside. And I'd been at Westside for probably 2 years at this point, maybe. And then, so he called my name up. And I'm like, fuck, are you serious? But it was cool because Denilson Pimenta was in town from Brazil at this time. And we had a giant team there. And so then him and Matt promoted me to black belt then. I was so unaware that it was happening. I was wearing a pair of like blue bottoms and a black top. Like it was like my most ragged gi ever. Yeah. Like my hair was all jacked up. I hadn't fixed it, and which is rare for me. But yeah, so they promoted me in January. So now Andy technically outranks me by it's like 15 minutes. So he does line up in front of me when we line up.
That's hilarious.
Because he does outrank me. The organization I was in before, it was very much like, hey man, you're going to be testing in December for your black belt. So make sure you're boning up on all the techniques and stuff because you're going to have to do all the techniques in front of some so-and-so and stuff. And it's like, to me, that's not a black belt.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean you're a black belt. That just means that you know how to statically perform X amount of techniques.
Right. Yeah.
What makes you a black belt is your ability to perform in a match or in a fight.
I think honestly to adapt.
As well. That's a really good point. Yeah, to adapt, because we all have our own styles. And like I've said before, there's 500 some odd techniques in jiu-jitsu. I use 3 of them. That's it. I just use 3.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think I'll get tangled up in these weird, crazy positions. They're like doing berimbolo and stuff. But I think a lot of people assume that I know what's going on in that situation. And that's how I'm coming out on top. It's not. Like, I don't know what's going on a lot of the times. I would say about like 40% of the time.
But you can
no
feel
idea.
It.
Yeah.
You understand the position. You understand the pressure that's being pushed on you. You can react and adapt to the body positions.
And I always notice in those moments too, like that it's my understanding of the basics that gets me out. Okay, what do I need to stop first? His hips. Okay, get his hips away from me. Now what's next? Like break this grip or whatever.
I tell people all the time when it comes to techniques that, because I'll get people I do consider myself a guard passer. I'm not a guard player. And for me, the reason I think I became a guard passer was because I look at jiu-jitsu, if you just reverse engineer the technique, then you can figure out the counter. Yeah. Right? And so like with single leg X, reverse what is causing you to fall? Well, it's him lifting his hips and turning his knees, and the only way he can do that is with the foot that's on the hip. Well, if you get rid of that foot, the technique's over. Yeah. So you're just reverse engineering things.
The best example that I always use for that is close guard, and full mount. Close guard is full mount upside down.
That's very true.
And so that's why whenever people get comfortable inside of the close guard, for some reason, because I guess they're on top and they think that it's okay to hang out in the close guard. Your work is not done in the close guard. Like you are in trouble. You need to get out of that position before you can rest or relax. And so I explain it as like, you're in full mount. You're in the upside down version of full mount.
You can't stay there.
Right. You have to get out. So it's just as urgent. But that's the perfect, I think that's the perfect like basic example of like you reverse engineer that position, right? From close guard to full mount. It's the same thing. The same rules apply. I don't reach straight up at your face underneath full mount. So why would I do the same thing on close guard?
That's a really good, you're gonna get arm locked either way, right? Right. It's a very interesting place to put that. So what about you? Because you got your black belt after me, which means that I outrank you.
We had a joke going for a while that I was the gatekeeper of black belts for a minute. Because right when I got my brown belt, I went through like a couple competitions where I was matched up with the guy that was about to get his black belt.
Dude, that was the same thing that was happening to me. Yeah. I was a brown belt and I was watching all my friends get their black belts, and it was guys that I had either beaten in competition or whatever. And I was just like, fuck, man.
We do our stuff a little bit differently. I used to get rank at seminars because I didn't see Mr. Jing, my instructor, very often. This was when I lived in Northwest Arkansas. Oh, okay. And so it was like 3.5 hours or whatever. And so I didn't see him very often. And my coach at the time was purple brown belt. So we'd bring Mr. Dring in to do that.
Right, which is typical. For a lot of gyms, that's very typical.
Yeah. We didn't like the seminar thing because it started turning into like you have to go to a seminar if you want rank. And it kind of became...
And then people were only coming to seminars thinking they were going to get rank.
Right.
And then they get pissed off when they weren't getting stripes and stuff. No, I get it, yeah.
And since I've opened up the gym, we've ran it a little bit differently. And it's been an evolving process because I don't necessarily like everything that happens in it. But one of the things that I really appreciate about my instructor is that he's always given me the freedom to do things the way that I want to do them. Both with my gym and who I train with, where I travel, how I do everything. Is
who you do podcasts with?
Who I do podcasts with. Well, he knows, like, dude, I'm a loyal OG to Mr. Dring, you know, like, I love the man. And so he it's like a good girlfriend, you know, like he knows I'm faithful to him. I can do whatever I want.
You can fuck whoever you want. You know, you're always going back to him.
Yeah, just no touching. And so the way that we do it is about every 6 months, I bring Mr. Dring in for what we call rank review. It's not a test. I make it a point because people will be like, oh, yeah, we got testing. Like, no, it's not testing. You're not being tested over any techniques. Nobody's asking you to do specific techniques. We'll go through and the white belts and we'll ask them to teach a floor movement. That's it. Nothing else. Like, we're not asking you to show me a shrimp. We're not asking you to show me a specific move. Just show me a movement down the floor. You do it. Okay, great. Everybody does it with you. That's awesome because we want to see how you can relay the information, right? Like I've talked about that a little bit. How you understand it, not how you understand the way that I understand it, you know? And so then, you know, the higher ranks, they'll, you know, show me how to get out of side control, get out of full mount. And we'll kind of go through like that and make it a little bit more of a seminar that the higher ranks are teaching. And so everybody gets some techniques out of it and some, you know, the white belts maybe pick up a new movement that's one other white belt showed. The blue belts might pick up a new guard pass that the purple belt showed or something like that. And so the way that I got my black belt is because it's structured like that. About every 6 months, we come in. If you deserve the tip, then you get it. If you don't, then you don't. And I'm pretty strict on that. Like most of the time, if somebody isn't going to be receiving rank, I'll be like, you probably should skip this rank review. Yeah, just because worth your money. Yeah, I don't want to rip people off. But at the same time, I also tell them like, listen, so-and-so is going to be ranking up or we're going to have people belt ranking. So if you want to be a part of the team, if you want to support your friends, then be there because whenever you're ranking up, you'll want them there.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's a nice way that the whole team can come together and celebrate everybody's accomplishments and everybody's time spent doing the work. The way that I got my black belt, we go through that process and then we have, at the end of every year, we have a black belt conference or we've actually got so many people on the team now, we have to do 2 a year.
I think I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
You guys were doing that.
And so we'll do a black belt conference where all the black belts from the team come in and teach like 3 or 4 little mini seminars. And then we do the presentation of the black belts. I knew it was going to happen because Mr. Dring was like, hey, black belt conference is coming up. You've got 4 tips on your brown belt. You should probably make sure your family's there. Stuff like that. It wasn't anything where like, hey dude, you're going to be getting your black belt. It was like, probably make sure your family's going to be there. You know, like it was understood, but not necessarily spoken about.
Sure.
And I kind of wish I did have a little bit more of a surprise. It's fun. But at the same time, like, I'm glad I didn't get caught like a deer in the headlights because I know I would be like, what do I do? You know, like, but it also came at like this really pivotal point in my life where I had just broken up. I just got out of this terrible relationship, fell into a horrible depression.
Who was the guy?
Daniel Trimble. No, I had fallen in this like horrible depression and was just doing, I wasn't training the way that I should. I wasn't doing anything the way that I should.
It wasn't because I beat you in that super fight, was it?
No.
Okay. I just sure.
Yeah, she broke up with me right after that. It was terrible. No, so towards the end of my brown belt was really rough. In the beginning of my black belt was really rough for me. And because being a brown belt or the end of my brown belt career, I was going through such a hard personal time. It carried over into my black belt. Whenever I got my black belt, I was like, dude, I don't deserve this right now. I suck, you know? And so I struggled with it for about 6 months after I got my black belt, really had a hard time with it. And so I kind of came to terms with like, dude, I'm good at this. I know what I'm doing, you know? And that's always been one of my bigger downfalls is I downplay my skills quite a bit. Like yeah, you just won't hear me talk about the things that I know that I'm good at because I know that I'm good at them, and I don't want to I don't want to be like, oh, let me do this. So like when I got my black belt, I had to have that reckoning where I was like, dude, I know what I'm doing. Like, I know this shit.
And there's more to being a black belt than just being able to tap everybody.
Right.
You know, and because I've been a black belt now for January, it's been a year and a half. I've been a black belt for a year and a half, so almost 2 years, I guess. You know, actually, it's been over a year and a half because I got promoted in January. So it's almost been 2 years. And the first year was super tough. And I tell people all the time, you know, because I have students that are like, man, I can't win anything at these competitions, blah, blah, blah. And I remind them, I've been a black belt for almost 2 years, and I have not won a single black belt match.
Right.
At all.
Yeah.
Like, at all. In any competition. I haven't competed as much as a black belt because I was injured with my bicep tear, came back from that, and then some things fell through. Like, it seems like every time there's a big tournament, you know, I like to go to the Dallas Open tournament, but I was busy doing stuff. I couldn't do that. And, you know, like I'm at a point now where like my family's keeping me very busy, which is a good thing. I'm probably not going to be able to do the AGF in October, which sucks. I was on vacation for the one in July, where they have in my opinion, one of the most stacked black belt divisions at an AGF.
Oh, that was nuts. And I missed it. I'm so mad. I was competing.
Yeah.
And I missed the damn division.
Dude, I haven't won anything at black belt. And honestly, it hasn't bothered me. Just because when I was a brown belt, I competed a lot, and a lot of my focus was on competing. And I think a lot of my identity was in how I did well in competitions. But now I focus a lot more on teaching. I train for me. You know, yes, we have this fight coming up. You and I both have fights coming up. I'm looking forward to it. But what's even funnier, and Rolly's probably gonna be pissed that I even said this, but like, we've been getting ready for this for like 6 weeks, and the fight's next weekend, and I've just lost all interest. I'm just like, oh, man, I'm not even excited anymore. Yeah. You know, it's because it's been so long. It's like I feel like I've been waiting for like 2 months to get ready for this fight. I'm still in great shape. Rolly's been putting me through the ringer with everybody doing suicide rounds. Like my cardio is on point. So everything's coming into fruition right now. But at the same time, I'm just like, oh man, like I think you know what? I'm gonna go to Memphis this weekend, but I'm probably just gonna go to the Bass Pro Shop. You know, like
I understand that feeling. I'm just I'm over it a little bit.
Yeah, but it doesn't change the fact that like once I'm there, I'm gonna do everything I can to win the fight. You know, I'm gonna give Eric a good fight, and I know he's gonna do the same for me. It's so funny. I've watched some of John Danaher's stuff, both the back take series and the leg lock stuff, and the whole time I'm like, Rolly's been teaching that for years.
It's all the thing that cracks me up is he starts talking about like levers and clamps. He's like, it's the application of levers and clamps, and says it in a funny accent. And people are like, oh my God. I'm thinking like, you mean pinch your fucking knees and use your hooks? Yeah. Like that's what we've been saying for years.
Yep.
And
all these American white guys have been saying it.
Somebody says it a little bit differently, and all of a sudden everybody goes nuts. But also that's a little bit of what makes everybody's teaching different, and what makes people coach better or differently. I've gone to like a Cabrini seminar where he just teaches an arm drag, but the details that I picked up from the arm drag, you know, like where to place my hands in this situation, do this and that, have been really, really helpful.
Rolly makes fun of me because he says I talk too much when I teach, to the point where he's actually taught techniques in like a noon class where he's given like a ton of details. And then he's like, oh, I'm sorry I went all Mitch on you guys, you know. But it used to get to me because I was like, man, am I fucking talking too much? And so I would ask my students and stuff like that. And I've had a lot of students break it down where they're like, you know, Rolly and I have two separate types of teaching styles. And so the students appreciate both, you know. And so that's why I never changed it. I did throttle back a bit. But man, I start teaching and I'm like, no. It's so important you guys understand, like the key to this technique is not the movements. It's what I'm doing with my knee. Like this knee has got to be doing this. You guys need to understand that, you know? And so I focus a lot on the micro details, whereas Rolly calls them inconsequential details, where like the gross motor skills are what matter, not necessarily the micro details. And I totally agree with him. And it has revolutionized the way that I teach. You know, we'll do at noon class, you'll just do 100 knee slices. Bam, bam, bam. And like most of our white and blue belts only know how to do a leg drag and a knee slice. That's it. Well, that's great because those two guard passes at that white and blue belt level will pass almost everybody's guard.
Yeah.
You know, and we've done it 1,000 times that nobody can stop it.
I think the gross motor movements are where the science comes in, and the fine motor skills, like the grips, how you move one particular limb or joint. I think that's where the art comes in.
That's a good point.
Like, because it makes sense with the application of levers.
And clamps.
Yeah, but just scientifically, the way that our bodies function, those gross motor movements make perfect sense. If you look at it from like a leverage point of view, all of those gross motor movements make sense. So do the fine motor movements.
Yeah.
But that's a little bit more where you can be artistic with it. For instance, the knee slice, you can grab, you can get an underhook.
Yep, which I go for.
You can grab the top lapel.
Yep.
You can also grab the bottom lapel and arm and do it like a margarita pass.
Yeah. And you're right. I when I teach the knee slice pass to the white and blue belts, I teach the underhook piece. But then whenever I'm talking to like higher level blue belts, purple and brown belts, I pass the way the Dental San Pimenta passes, where I hold the top lapel, my elbow. It's almost like I'm doing a Ippon Cianagi.
Yeah.
With my arms, the way that I twist and stuff like that, and drive my elbow through the chest. But I'm doing it while they're laying down. And so that's the detail that I teach to the upper ranks. Because like you said, in my opinion, that gross motor skill of it's underhook management. So when I'm teaching white and blue belts you got to go for the underhook. You've got to go for the underhook. It's to teach them that from that position, you can't let that motherfucker get the underhook on you because that's how he's going to take your back. That's how he's going to get out of the position. So it develops that. And then once you understand now, Rolly put it really well one time. He said, and I hope I can articulate this the right way, but he was talking about how he'll teach a technique and say, this is the way you're going to do this. And you're going to do it like this all the time. And then, years down the road, he'll teach it again to that same person. And it'll be like, okay, now this is how you're going to do it. And the reason I'm teaching it to you this way now is because you weren't ready for these details back then. Yeah. And if you tell a student this is one way to do it, well, then they're going to get exploratory. But it's because you need them to understand how important underhook management is. And then now when they've got it stuck in their head, like, I can never let this guy get the underhook, it becomes a part of their game. And then now you don't have to fucking worry about them getting in a bad underhook position, because they already know not to do it. And now you can give them these details where it opens up to the possibility that an underhook might happen, but they already have the awareness that they can shut it down. Yeah. Well,
and two, you still have the same function as the underhook, but with a different grip.
Right.
If you can figure out your left and right after your first week, then I'm happy. Like, honestly, it's a struggle. I'll see full grown adults. I'm like, use your right hand, and they kick their left foot.
Every time.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I've watched guys. I'm like, all right, guys, what you're gonna do is you're gonna slice your right knee through the guy's legs, and then like 5 people get up and take water breaks. Yeah, like, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. Have you ever seen the movie Foot Fist Way? Yeah. Oh, it's one of my favorite movies of all time.
I watched that the other day, and
I'm gonna probably watch it today
a couple months ago, and was thinking like, dude, this is my life.
It is my.
It's so funny. When I did that Cabrini seminar, we were in Wynne, Arkansas. Arkansas.
Yeah, I remember when he came through for that. Yeah.
Dude, there were maybe 20 people there.
It makes no sense why he would agree to come to Wynne, Arkansas.
He's not coming back again. I can tell you that much. Yeah. Dude, he got kicked in the face by a brown belt that was rolling too hard right next to him.
What a loser.
Like, you kicked Cabrini in the face, man.
I hope that guy gets a sexually transmitted disease.
It was the owner of the gym. I want to tell you this story.
Okay, go ahead.
So we were coming back from Wynne, Arkansas, and I had like a Gravitas shirt on or a jiu-jitsu shirt on. And we stopped at a gas station to go to the bathroom. My friend goes into the bathroom ahead of me, and I got stopped by this guy, and he goes, "There's some kind of tournament going on?" And I'm like, we're talking over the display case of like a big stack of Busch Light. And I was like, oh yeah, there's actually just a seminar. He was like, oh, right on. I train at Master So-and-so's, blah, blah, blah. We do Kenpo, Taekwondo, whatever. And I was like, that's cool, man. And he's like, who's teaching? I was like, oh God, I'm stuck in this conversation. I'm not even kidding you. Finally, he goes, well, it was nice to meet you, Master Sensei, and does the whole bow, and then shakes my, like, he did even like patted his shoulders and did this like full thing, and like bows and tries to shake my hand over this Bush Light display. And I'm like, I'm in the fucking Wynn, Arkansas. And this guy's like, Master Sensei Johnny Wester was shaking my hand over a Bush Light display. Like, what the fuck is my life, dude?
You should have backhanded him in the nutsack and spit on his hand. And then you can't get pissed because this is how we do things where I come from.
Right. This is my style. My sensei taught me how to do it this way.
If you're going to do that ridiculous pageantry
yeah.
and put me in an awkward fucking situation.
Dude, people have so many like
they should be ashamed of themselves.
Illusions about what we do and what it is.
Super informal, which is one of the things I do like about it. I understand that some gyms do have some formalities, and I think there should be some formalities within. It is still a martial art.
I like some of it. It's good.
But I think it was you that maybe it was you. I don't know. It was a pretty good point, so that's why I'm hesitant to say that it was you. But I think it was you that was describing how about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu being very much a Brazilian culture, right? So Brazilians are very laid back. They're not on time for shit.
No.
They just want to go to the beach, hang out. They want to do barbecues and wear Speedos. Like it's a very laid back culture. And so they bring that comes out in the martial art. And I think that's what really attracts people to the lifestyle of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is that it's a very chill, laid back. Nobody takes it too seriously, but everybody has a good time and you're learning it, you find that the Gracie side of the family are the ones who keep it super strict.
Yeah.
Right? Because they were selling this lifestyle of a different type. GF team is very chill. When Master Julio was here, he was teaching a noon class and he's just chilling on the side of the wall and he's like giving directions from the wall. It's like, no, my friend, we go with your leg on the other side. Apparently Master Julio is Arabic now.
Yeah.
I only do one impression.
Jamaican.
I do one impression and that's for everybody, whether it's Mexican or whatever. But it was way more laid back. And in my opinion, it's more conducive for learning, right? When you're chill, relaxed. It's whenever you're in those weird situations where it's like you're not allowed to sit a certain way and you have to bow on and off the mats 50 times. And it's like, I'm not taking anything away from those guys, but it's like, man, at what point is it about pageantry and less about technique?
Yeah.
I
have some interesting ideas about this because, like, first of all, I believe that the culture that I build in my gym will eventually play out into the things that I want to happen, right? So the handshaking thing, I always shake everybody's hands on the mat. I've found since I've done that, because I only started doing that around brown belt, that I become better friends quicker and closer to people that I normally wouldn't.
Sure.
I remember people's names better.
Well, yeah, because they're not going to approach you as often because you're a black belt now.
Yeah.
So you're going to find that people are not going to be as approachable to you.
I make them kiss my rings beforehand.
Yep. I do the same thing with one of my students wears a lot of rings. And so I kiss his rings actually a lot. He's a Mason. So.
But I enjoy some of those traditions because they do help. But one of the things that I think we're going to get more into, I want to do a full episode on it, is the parallels of the hardcore scene, the music scene, and just punk rock in general and jiu-jitsu.
Dude, I was just thinking that earlier because I keep looking at your gravitas tattoo. I'm imagining you without a shirt on. And so I started right there.
It's almost exactly like me with a shirt on. The only tattoos I have are ones that you can see.
And so, but I've asked you multiple times for like a gravitas t-shirt or sweater, and you're always like, "Oh, I don't have your size," or "Oh,
I've got your size coming in now."
Well, medium.
Extras medium.
Yep.
Okay.
So I prefer to call it.
It's because medium. I truly usually don't. I do the showy roll method.
I thought it was because you didn't want to get in trouble having an outsider wearing your. And then people see that and they go, "Oh, you train at Gravitas?" I'm like,
no, I don't give a shit. I wear a Gracie Baja shirt all the time that Vanilla left behind.
But the thing is that's, you and I talk about this a lot, where like coming up in bands and skateboarding and all that kind of stuff, like I treat it the same way. Like when I go to, like, I want to wear a Gravitas t-shirt because my buddy owns Gravitas. You know what I mean? Like it's weird. Like I would wear all my favorite band t-shirts, like from different shows that we had gone to and like bands that we had opened for, or vice versa. Like we'd trade merch and stuff, and you're walking around wearing your buddy's band's t-shirt.
But in jiu-jitsu, you can only wear your own band's t-shirt.
Apparently.
Which is super taboo in the music industry.
I know. Like you would never go to a show wearing your t-shirt,
Yeah.
And so I think a big piece of that is from that, because when I go to any school I go to, I'm like, hey, can I get a t-shirt? Can I get a sticker? And I put it all over my shit, I didn't realize how many people from the hardcore or even just like the music scene in the local area started training jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. There's a lot.
It doesn't make sense why, though. I don't understand.
Here's my philosophy on it. Here's my philosophy, my theory, I guess. DIY, punk rock is founded in DIY. Everybody is do it yourself, right?
Right.
I think jiu-jitsu has a lot of that. If you look at like my gym, very much DIY. We did it all, everything ourselves. We didn't like take credit out on for anything. All the artwork I do myself, all of it, right? The other thing is the challenge to authority, because like you tell me this works, but every time I roll with you, it doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? Or it may not necessarily be this outward expression of challenging authority where I'm like, you suck, let's do this. Right. But it's a little bit of like, oh, you think that move works? I think I have something that's going to shut it down. Sure. So let's see how that works. And everybody, it's also with the skateboarding scene, it's very much a singular sport. You are exactly. And that's where I always had a hard time playing football and basketball, because I sucked, and because
it was a team sport.
It was a team sport. I couldn't rely on everybody else to do the job. And then whenever people told me I lost, I was like, no, I didn't.
I didn't lose.
My team lost, I
didn't even go in the game.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And then whenever I got into skateboarding and wrestling, I did 1 year of freshman high school wrestling. I loved it. I was like, oh my God, this is it. And then I moved to a state that didn't have wrestling. But it just, that's where I zoned in. That's where I like found my focus, was through those things. So I think skateboarding and punk rock culture go together real well. But I think that plays into the jiu-jitsu.
I also think a piece of it is a bit of a counterculture.
Yeah, right? The counterculture. It's cool to be like a part of something that not everybody else knows about or is a part of.
And of course, like, hipsters are the worst about that, where it's like, oh, well, I was into it before it was popular or whatever. But the reality is, you and I both, because I've been training for 12 years. And so you've probably been training, like 5-6 years?
Yeah. People are going to think that I just fucking suck at this.
No, I'm the one that continues to tell people, like, you got your blue belt before me, like, you know what I mean? Like, you've put in way less time than me. I'm the one that sucks. It took me forever.
No, I've been doing it for 12 years.
12? Okay, cool.
Yeah. I stalled out at blue and purple.
That's fair. And but I mean, that's when you and I got into the sport, it still was relatively unknown. Not saying that it was completely unknown. It had got a lot of traction, but you didn't have as many black belts. Yeah. Everybody who owned a school was most likely a purple or a brown belt. I was a purple when I owned my gym. You were a purple when you owned your gym, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Rolly and them were respectively purple and brown belts when they were doing their stuff. So it was rare to have that. So the point is that, yes, it's kind of a counterculture thing, and it's not easy. And so I think a piece of it also is that the challenge. It's like CrossFit. CrossFit got super popular because there was this belief, not reality, this belief that you were doing something so much more challenging than what everyone else was doing that it put you in a special club. Yeah. And jiu-jitsu is not easy. And the thing is I don't spread jiu-jitsu to a lot of people, which is strange if you think about it. Like, you would think that I would want everybody to train jiu-jitsu, but I'm a realist. And that realism for me is that it's fun for me, but it's fun for a very select group of people. Yeah. Like with women, I think all women should train jiu-jitsu. But I also believe and understand that you're going to get placed in super uncomfortable positions, and you're probably not going to like it. And I am under the direct realization that I like it, but it's not for everybody. Yeah. And getting a black belt damn sure isn't for everybody.
My friend from Brazil, Danilo, he's a Gracie Baja black belt, and he told me one day, he was like, in Gracie Baja we have a saying, we say that
jiu-jitsu for everyone.
Jiu-jitsu is for everyone. Yeah. And he said, but I always say jiu-jitsu is for everyone, but not everyone is for jiu-jitsu.
There you go.
And I was like, wow, for somebody that doesn't speak English, that's incredibly prophetic. But I was like, that's insane. But that's it. Jiu-jitsu is for everybody, but not everybody is for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I agree.
It will work for everyone. The techniques. There are techniques that will work for every single body type, but not everyone is maybe prepared at that time or just can do it. Like, they're just not okay with confined spaces or confronting that reality that you might be attacked. And that's okay. You might die before me.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think, and I honestly don't think like, so I choose to not carry a gun. I don't own one. It's just not something that like, that I wasn't raised around it. My dad's a pacifist. He was in the army, and like, he just got really burnt out on all of it. He saw everything that those weapons could do. So I wasn't raised around it. I'm uncomfortable around them. I don't like them, but I've had to start learning. I don't remember why we got into this, but I had to start learning more because of the police work. Because I'm not going to tell people how to take somebody's gun away from them or prevent your gun being away if I don't know how to handle a gun. Yeah. And so I've had to like kind of bite the bullet, so to speak, and figure that stuff out.
Going back to the hardcore thing.
Went way off topic there.
No, it was a good topic though. I think it needed to be discussed.
Oh, because we were saying jiu-jitsu is not for everybody. That was my example of like, guns just aren't for me.
That's just not your thing. Yeah. I love them. I wish I could have way more than I have right now.
Absolutely could save my life, but
I wish that they would drop all the bans on all the automatic stuff. I wish I could have the most dangerous weapons on the planet. Fucking, I deserve it. I'm fucking American.
I can agree with that. So. I think I'm willing to bet that we have differing opinions on this, which makes me hate you, and you're wrong.
Yep.
But I think that you are deserving of whatever weapons you choose to have.
There you go.
I don't think that everybody is deserving of whatever weapons they choose to have.
100% agree.
Yeah.
I don't think that just because you live in a country that has the Second Amendment, that the Second Amendment should apply to you.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
I gave you an album to listen to.
You did, and I tried. I tried to listen to
it. I kind of intentionally chose something that I knew was going to be heavy, something a little bit outside of your comfort zone.
So I gave it a really good listen. So the album we're referring to is
Knocked Loose.
Knocked Loose is the band.
The album is A Different Shade of Blue.
Different Shade of Blue.
It just came out maybe a couple weeks ago on Pure Noise Records.
Which exactly what it was that I was listening to was absolute pure noise.
So I'll say this about the album. It's my opinion of it was a little bit bland.
It was super bland.
It was just chug, 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 wee, 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 chug, 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 chug. Very much the same like rhythmic beat all the way through. There were a couple breakdowns that I really liked.
I expected more, not only from the band, but from you.
The real reason I chose that though is because it was like the most recent release. Yeah.
I respect what they're doing. When I listen to hardcore records like that, I have a preconceived idea of how I want it to sound. And when I was listening to the riffs and the breakdowns like that, I felt like I was just listening to like Devil Driver, or I felt like I was listening to Coal Chamber. Like the driving riffs and stuff were really reminiscent to me of like the early 2000s metal riffs, and I was like, God, man,
there's a lot of influences from Botch in there, which like I'm tired of bands trying to be Botch. That's been happening for years. I think Norma Jean probably did it the best, and now everyone needs to leave it alone. But every metal and hardcore band is trying to sound like Botch. A little bit of like Integrity influences, but it's just very the same beat throughout the whole album. One of the songs that I really liked on there though was Guided by the Moon. They have a breakdown in there that was just insane, really, really heavy, and it built up to it really well. But that's really about it. The intro track Bellevue was pretty okay, and then the rest of it was bland and boring.
So when you sent the album to me, and of course, you know, I'm going to do my due diligence to give our 17 listeners the best album breakdown that I can.
We have over 100.
Well, we have over 100 downloads. It's just the same 17 people.
I hope not. I hope not. I account for at least like 20 per episode, but I don't think that it counts everyone that I listen to. Yeah, we're averaging about 100 people.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I hope it continues to grow. And
Thanks, 100 people.
Thank you, all 100 people who have actually been able to sit through and stomach the two of us talk about
The
stupid
Rough and
shit.
Tumblers.
The Rough and Tumblers out there. Look, we got nicknames for our fans.
Yeah, the Gougers.
The Gougers. I can't wait to come out with our T-shirt. I'm going to wear it everywhere. And so what I did, though, is to put my best foot forward, I did go and say, you know what? The music sucks, but maybe the lyrics are going to be what drives it home for me. Because I was like, well, I'm a lyricist myself. And I've been a lyricist since I was in high school. And so I can respect really well thought out, well planned, and executed lyrics. That was not the case with this album.
It's not what happened here.
Not what happened here. What I started to realize was that I had a hard time discerning between the lyrics that I was reading from this band, who I assume they're all adults, and the stuff that I wrote in my journals when I was in high school.
They're about that age, probably like just out of high school.
Are they really?
Yeah, they're pretty young.
It's obvious. And so I went into my journals, pulled a couple of pieces out.
I can't wait for this.
And so I want to play a game where it's going to be called, it's called Knocked Loose or Mitch's Bitch Ass Journal. Because I went through a really heavy emo phase. I went through all my lyrics.
Bitch Mitch's Journal.
Bitch Mitch's Journal. That's what my kid's name is. Mitchell Bitchell is what I named him. It's funny. I could always tell what music I was listening to by the lyrics that I was writing.
Yeah.
I pretty much ripped off whoever it was I was listening to at the time.
That's art.
All right.
Go ahead.
You ready? Okay. So the first entry into Knocked Loose or Mitch's Journal. Okay. Life still happens when I close my eyes. How dare it leave me behind? The pressure has ran its course. I don't think I can take this. Is that me or is that Knocked Loose?
I'm going to say that one's Knocked Loose.
You would be right.
Nice. Yes.
Good job. All right, let's see here. Let me find another one. Here I sit shaking in my shatterproof shell, begging for change.
Mitch's Journal.
Damn. 2 for 2.
Damn, I'm on a roll. Mix it up, man.
I'm trying. Also, if you guys think these lyrics are pretty good, leave a comment on our Instagram page.
Yeah. Post your favorite one on our YouTube.
All right. I hear the trumpets in the distance calling out my name. Should I answer them or let them sound in vain?
Knocked Loose.
That's mine, bitch.
Oh, that's a good one, man.
You're welcome.
Good job.
Nice.
That one even rhymed.
I know.
That's a great one.
All right. Good. Okay. I will atone for the things I've done, and God only knows that it's all stuck in my head. God fell silent when I cried out.
I'm going to say Mitch's.
Knock Loose.
Mitchin.
Bitchin'. No, that was a Knock Loose lyric.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. You see how I did that? Because I went to like a religious reference twice in there? Okay. Let's
Let's
see.
do one more.
Okay. Gravity retreats. The ground beneath my feet begins to move from my reach. Inside my chest, my heart begins to beat.
I'm going to say Knocked Loose.
That was mine again, buddy.
Damn, dude, you got some bangers in there.
You're welcome.
That's some good stuff.
That was good, man.
Yeah.
Those are all from high school. Every one of those lyrics are from high school.
And it's only gone downhill since
It's
then.
not gotten better.
I think I have one of my lyric books somewhere around. I need to pick that out.
I went through a rap phase where I was just only writing about like New York City and like when I was slinging rock in New York.
I think this band is really interesting though because they every like generation there's one band that like seems to really key in on like LA pop culture, and you start seeing people that start like wearing their t-shirts, wearing their stuff that you normally wouldn't expect. It's where the same thing happened with a band called Trash Talk probably about 10 years ago whenever they first started popping up. You'd see like Tyler the Creator.
That's a cool name.
He's a rapper. He was hanging around with Trash Talk for a long time, and like you just start seeing like celebrities wearing their t-shirts and stuff, and it became this trendy band that everybody was into. And Knocked Loose, it seems to be tapping in on that a little bit somehow.
I do like the name. I think Knocked Loose is a pretty cool name. Do you ever listen to Glassjaw?
Yeah.
Right. So I was a huge Glassjaw.
I love Glassjaw.
Huge Glassjaw.
Ape Das Mill was like.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, the lead singer for Glassjaw.
Yeah, he went on to Head
Automatica. Talk about a fucking switch flip, man.
And it was good.
It was good.
It was good.
Beating Hearts Baby. Oh, come on now. I could listen to that whole record. I like his voice. So I actually saw Glassjaw in concert once.
Nice.
Although I hated them as people after the show, I still listened to the music. Because I think you said you went through a straight edge phase.
Yeah. I was straight edge for 14 years.
That's right. Yeah. So to me, straight edge people are just really pretentious assholes.
Yeah.
Right?
That's actually one of the reasons that I decided to stop.
It's like, good. I don't know
everybody that I know that's straight edge is a huge asshole.
Yep.
So maybe drinking might be good for me.
Yep. It's in moderation, because I had a problem with drinking and it was never good for anybody. So I saw them in concert in Monroe, Louisiana, at a place called the Blue Monkey. We had it on film. I wish the guys in the band still had the film, because it's probably worth money right now.
Yeah, there's a guy actually that does what's called Hate 56. His name's Sonny. He just goes to hardcore shows and just holds a video camera up.
Yeah.
And like he's got thousands of. That show might actually be on his website.
It's very possible.
Yeah.
Well, to finish the story up, it's a bar, and I guess people were like spilling beer on the stage and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He gets on the microphone and he goes, if one more person spills beer on this stage, we're fucking done. And he's like, beer is fucking disgusting. In typical Louisiana fashion, everyone started throwing beer on the stage.
That's amazing.
And they stopped playing and they walked off stage.
Yeah.
Because they were all straight edge. And they were like, beer's fucking disgusting. They're like, fuck all you pieces of shit, blah, blah, blah. If anybody's, and we're just like, what? Shut the fuck up. Like, take our money and shut up.
Yeah.
Like you decided a long time ago that you were going to play music in front of people and that you wanted to take their money. And that's exactly what's happening right now.
Yeah.
So just shut up and drink. And
Let us enjoy it.
Let us enjoy the. And so after that, I was like, man, fuck those guys. But I still listen to the band.
Oh,
I'm
they're so
still a
good.
huge fan of Glassjaw. And I actually became a Head Automatica fan as well. So
Glassjaw's considerably. I had people that were like coming in and be like, dude, I listened to this album and this album. And we should probably start explaining a little bit better what style of music you're getting into before you go jumping into that album. Knocked Loose is very heavy for the sake of being heavy. And honestly, in realms of like heaviness, is probably one of the.
It was fairly heavy.
It's heavy. It's just meh. It's not that heavy.
With Glassjaw, you're getting into a screamo hardcore. It's going to be screamo hardcore, in my opinion.
A little bit more singing than typical.
Yes, which is why I like them more.
It's like that. It's very much that era of screamo.
But
he's got kind of a odd voice, but I like it. It's really really good. Ape Das Mill is my favorite song. He's got another.
Yes.
There's another song called "Tip Your Bartender" that's really good.
That
too.
is a really good one.
What's the there's one about makeup.
Mascara or something like that.
Yeah, I like that one a lot too.
Yeah. Well, man, I think that pretty much sums up everything that we wanted to talk about today.
Yep.
We got a complaint that we just end our episodes, so we have to have some sort of finality to it. But
like we talked about in earlier, we have our goal on Patreon. We'd really, really appreciate everyone's help with that. Like I said, you're not getting nothing out of it. You're not just donating money. We'll be really active with posting content on the Patreon for those people that are donating to it, as well as you'll be getting content in the mail or directly through us, whether it be stickers, patches, eventually t-shirts, things like that. If we can get to 100, then we'll start releasing videos of not just the podcast, but also jiu-jitsu techniques that we talk about in the podcast. And we're open to any suggestions as well. Basically, that's kind of our creative outlet.
yeah, and for anyone who's listening, please interact with us on Instagram. We really, really enjoy hearing you guys make fun of us. Tell us what you like about the show. Tell us. We've had people to send us their favorite quotes from the episodes and stuff, because Jonny and I are extremely funny, so we don't really know when we're being funny. We just are. So if you guys hear something, it just happens. So if you hear us say something that you thought was funny or whatever, send it to us. Let us know, because we want to put it on the Instagram and then like we said in the beginning of the episode, we really enjoy giving shout outs on the podcast. Go out there, donate a little bit to the Patreon. Let us get some more microphones, more technology, more software, whatever, so that we can start bringing guests in. We have a lot of good ideas that we want to have for guests, but we have to have more equipment to do that. And so if you guys want to start hearing guests come on the show, then you're going to have to go out there and give us some of your money.
Another thing that we've been doing is we have Spotify. We have a playlist on Spotify, the Rough and Tumble playlist, where any songs that we talk about on the show we'll put on the playlist so that you can go on there and check it out. And we'll kind of keep that updated throughout each episode so you can check out the songs that we're into, that we're talking about, and so you're not totally left out of the blue. And we'd like to be able to do the same thing with jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
We just need your money in order to do it.
Yes.
And to buy a private jet.
Yeah. How else are we going to get there? I'm not driving.
Jesus wants me to have one. You can follow us on Instagram, YouTube. You can follow us on Spotify. You can also follow us on Twitter. We haven't posted anything on there.
I don't have Twitter. So I don't know anything about it.
We have a Twitter. But we haven't used it because nobody follows us.
That's fair.
And I have a really hard time accepting that Twitter's a thing. So if you follow us on there, I will start posting. So if you hear this on the episode, go follow us on Twitter and we'll start posting on Twitter. Otherwise, it's a dead platform to me.
That's correct.
I don't care. But anyways, thanks for listening to the Rough and Tumble podcast, and we'll catch you next time.
See ya.